Hello, I want to show you a really nice effect that I found in this music video, New Star Generation from L'Oreal, that I want to recreate in 3D. This is a cartoon, but I want to recreate it in 3D. I'll quickly demonstrate what I mean. They basically draw swirls following a curve into the air. So basically, there's a path. We can define a path that these swirls will follow, and as they draw with their little scepters, it appears as if it is actually drawn with like color in the air. And just this effect, I'm not gonna, they're summoning a car and then fly off into space. I'm not gonna model the car, just this little effect here, something like this. So that's what I'm going to make. Open up Blender, new default scene, like this. We don't need a cube. If there's a cube, you can remove it. I already did that in the default files anyway. I'm going to add a mesh circle. I only need 8 vertices, depending on how detailed you want it to be, but I guess 8 vertices is going to be enough. Make the radius a bit smaller because we don't want it to fill out an entire stadium, just the stage. Okay, go into edit mode. I'm going to flip this around by 90 degrees. I hold control to snap to full number increments. Go from the other axis, move it over, and duplicate like this. So what we have here is the basis for our swirls. We're going to use the screw modifier to drag these out, make them longer, and then spin them around at the same time. So when you open up the screw modifier, it's going to be really confusing what is actually happening. It is spinning and moving at the same time. We want to spin it by 180 degrees and then move it forward, right? It's moving forward, but it's moving along the wrong axis. We want to move it along the x-axis. So now it's properly aligned. This doesn't really work, but x-axis, that's what we want. So in this is one segment. If you look from the top, it's a perfect 180 degree swirl. And we want to repeat this segment several times. I mean, there's more than one swirl. We could do that with this setting here, add more iterations, but I'm not going to use that because I want to follow a curve that I want to add it in real time. And if I use the screw modifier, I can't really fit the number of iterations into that curve, but I can do it with the array modifier because it has this option. I'm going to move that for now. I'm going to draw the curve first. Draw the curve, add curve path. You might not have the path. I'm not sure if that's an add-on. If that's an add-on, then it's extra objects or extra curve objects. I don't know. It may be an add-on here. Edit preferences, add-ons. I don't know. Extra. Extra. Yeah, I think extra curve objects, extra mesh objects. One of those add-ons. This is a NURBS path. So I'm going to edit this curve to any random shape. I'm just make it follow weird paths, because in the video they also had weird paths. Yeah. I'd be careful not to have the curve to be too tight, because then the geometry will overlap and it will be really painful. Keep them wide, make wide swings. That should be enough. Okay, we have our curve. This here should be copied and following this curve. That's what we want. So we select our swirls, we add an array modifier. Underneath the screw modifier, we first screw them around to twist them, and then multiply that to fit a curve, and we say this curve. Take the eyedropper, click on it. Now it will always generate enough iterations to be able to follow this curve. And then if we combine that with the actual curve modifier and select the same curve, now we have the ability to change things and it will always fit. You see, it adds more segments here at the end. It adds more segments to fit this newly edited curve, which is really nice. I like that, which is exactly why I'm doing it. Okay, so we have our shape. It fits, it works. So now we need an object that would actually follow this curve as well, to basically paint on these swirls, and based on where it has painted, it will appear or disappear. We can set that up in the shading, but first we need a little brush object. I'll add mesh, icosphere, or sphere, UV sphere, it doesn't matter, just as a placeholder, and animate that. Going to constraints, this one, constraint property, constraint at a follow path, again this exact same curve. So with the offset we can now animate the position of this little brush object. And that's a really weird thing, because offset 0 is 0, that's normal, but then the end of the curve is going to be -100, and that is not really intuitive. So I move over my frame counter to frame 100 something, it doesn't really matter, and insert a new keyframe, and then change this value to -100. Yeah, like here, like this. So I have a keyframe here, a keyframe there, go to 0, add keyframe, go to frame 100 something, add another keyframe, and then change the value, or change the value and then add the keyframe. That's gonna be the order of operations, right? -100, and then yeah, replace keyframe. That's what we want. So now when I move back and forward in the timeline, it will follow. So far for the animation, good. We have our curve, we have our swirls, we have a brush that would paint them. Everything is set up. Now we need materials. So go to shading. I want this to be glowing in a color. Let's say pink. So we select it, go to material settings, add a new material. It creates a node tree here in the shading. And down here, emission color. This one I'll just increase the brightness so we can pick a color. See, it changes the color of the object live. So I'll pick this color. And emission strength, I want to make it really bright. Whatever, maybe not too bright. 15 or something. Doesn't really matter. So it's going to be glowing. Although that doesn't really look like it's glowing. Anyway. Go to rendered view and make the world dark. Let's make it slightly blue. And then I want a little glow effect that's going to be bloom in Eevee. And then in Eevee, click on bloom, and then you get this little glow effect. Every bright pixel is going to be blurred out and have this little halo effect. And there's the settings that you can tweak, but this is our final result. This is how it should look when it is fully painted, but it's supposed to appear over time as if this object here is painting on into the air. So for that, we need to have a dynamic paint. Well, maybe you don't need it, but this is how I'm going to make it. So we select either one of those. The swirls are going to be I'm going to physics tab. Those are going to be the dynamic paint canvas. Canvas is the thing that is being painted on. Format, vertex. I want to paint onto the vertex colors. The initial color should be black. Black, because then I can say black is 0 and white is 1. And based on that color, it should control which parts should be visible and which parts should be invisible. And the output is supposed to be, we don't have vertex color information yet. So we select the swirls, go to vertex data. Under vertex colors, we have to add something new. Default name call. That's what we're gonna use. In paint map, what does it say? Here, this one. That's where it's going to be painted on. Wet map, that's a cool feature. You can also have it dry over time, and then it will basically disappear after a while. But I'm not gonna use that because it's just going to be painted into the sky and then it stays there. Good. It will paint onto vertex color coal, so we can import that here and in our shader nodes. Under input, vertex color, add a node, vertex color node, and we want to mix that with a transparency based on that vertex color. Transparent BSDF. So this is our material that we want to have when it is painted. This is our material that we want to have when it is not painted yet. It's going to be dark, invisible. And this is going to determine where it is painted and where it is not painted. We do that with a mix shader, like this. We plug this here, vertex color into the factor. We plug the principal BSDF into the shader, and into the second shader socket. And now, whenever it is painted on, which is not happening, right? I didn't do that yet. Good. This is going to be our dynamic paint brush. We select the object, physics properties, dynamic paint. This is type brush. Then add the brush. Paint color, supposed to be white. We want to use white. This one. And source, I'd like to choose proximity, because that makes that would apply the paint based on the distance to this object, and I give it a small value so it will lead a little bit. You see here, 0.2 meters away from this icosphere it paints on. So if we move the icosphere, if the icosphere now moves, it continuously paints onto this mesh, which is exactly the effect that we want. The only thing that's now missing is this is not transparent. This is black. Why is that? Good question. Next question. No, I have the answer. We select it, go into the material settings, not the nodes, the settings, and under blend mode we tell Blender how to actually handle transparent objects. And if we say alpha hashed, which is the most accurate, it actually disappears wherever it's black. Here, wherever the factor is 0, it uses the transparent BSDF, and the transparent BSDF makes it actually transparent. That's a smart expression. That's wise words here. Okay, and whenever it's this BSDF, it is going to, wherever this outputs white, it will use this one, and wherever it outputs black, it will use this one. Make sense? Okay, now it works. We see it slowly paint on the color onto this canvas. Isn't it beautiful? And it basically does exactly what it does in a music video. And we're practically done. We only have to hide the icosphere in viewport and in render, and it will basically behave exactly like that. And you could have a character model wave a wand following this exact path. You could do that, and it would draw on, and that's the effect. And what is happening here coincidentally is something funny, because it doesn't actually properly paint on. If we look at the vertex color, it has dark spots. Even though it is supposed to be fully painted, this effect still looks nice. I mean, it is not perfectly uniform. If we plug this into our material output, it is perfectly uniform and kind of boring, and by chance coincidence it doesn't fully paint the color, and that is because the animation is actually moving a little bit too fast for the dynamic paint to keep up. So where's my icosphere? There's my icosphere. It can't paint fast enough. So we gotta give this simulation a little bit more extra sub steps. And now what that means is when it transitions from one frame to another, it does 5 intermediate frames, steps of this simulation in between. And now if we run this from the start, we'll see it will paint on more consistently. It will end up painting everything. But since I like the look of not fully painting everything, let's just go back, restart. We have these little gaps, which is also coincidentally, just like in the music video, it is not. You see here, this swirl is interrupted. It's kind of interrupted, just like this one. Anyway, that's the effect. I don't know what else to say. I think I'm done. Okay, bye.